YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for King-ohger episode 16. This was a Rita focus episode, and I thought it was an overall very strong episode. A lot better than last week's. Not that last week's was awful, but I was hoping to get more insight into our Black Ranger and maybe like him a little bit more. And while we did have some interesting momentum on it, it didn't do as much for the character as I had hoped. But in this case, I think this did a lot of favors for Rita's character. Not that they needed it, because they're still my favorite character. I mean, I like Spider-Kimonos a lot, and they're still my favorite suit. Although Papillion-ohger is my second favorite suit. But Rita is still my favorite of the characters so far, because there's so much about them that's just fun. But this gives us a little bit of backstory on them. And you delve into like their first case trial. Like they became the king, like, decider when they were like 5? Was it 5? Like really young. And they have no idea why they were chosen, and they go to their first case of declaring this guy guilty who killed their predecessor. And that's kind of what the core part of the episode is about, is uncovering this conspiracy and revealing why they were chosen. Which effectively, it amounts to, they discover, because the previous ruler was poisoned, and Rita's like, oh yeah, Himino's parents were also poisoned, let me go to her. And she goes to her and she analyzes it and proves that it's the same poisons, and basically proves that this guy couldn't have done it all along. And he reveals like it was all a test. Like they knew that whoever started Fury of the... Everyone's like up in the arms about Fury of the Gods. Like, dude, honestly, it was a fine movie. Everyone, like, seriously, why did everyone hate that movie? It was fun. But I don't know why they're... So basically, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the apocalypse of this series. They basically found out that there was a conspiracy around who caused Fury of the Gods. It was David F. Sandberg. He made the movie. Bottom line is, they discovered who did it, but for whatever reason, whoever they are couldn't go through the normal justice system, so the previous ruler faked her death and left this note for Rita that would tell them like why they were chosen once they figured it out, and like they let the husband take the heat until Rita could figure it out as part of a test, which that doesn't seem weird, but it seems like an awful lot of trouble, especially for the husband. But they figured it out, and she tells Rita that like the reason you were chosen was because like you're kind of more meek and innocent, and that represents the people that we defend, is the meek and the innocent. So you're the best person to pass judgment because you always make the right decision when it counts. And as we see, they've changed quite a bit since then, but retain that. But that's what's so interesting about their character is, you know, they're very stone cold and badass. But then you see that their more meek and innocent side come out when they're with the Puff and stuff. And that was one of my favorite moments of the episode. It opens up with them like lamenting over wanting to buy this basically premium Bandai Puffin. And it was really funny and like meta and relatable of like, I know I already have it, but this is the premium one. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when they do the complete selection of the memorial editions. And that was funny because this episode showcased background for their character, the badassery of the character, especially in the final battle with the signature awesome looking King-ohger fights. And I believe it was in the snow, and the suit just looked awesome. So you showcase that, but you also showcase the endearing quirks of the character. So I enjoyed all that all around. And I also enjoyed getting to see Rita and Himino connect a little bit. I feel like there hasn't been as much traditional bonding between some of the Sentai cast members, even in the last few years, because we've had some non-traditional setups. Dawn Brothers got to it eventually, but it was a bit of a different case, which, don't get me wrong, I liked, but it's been, you know, I've been missing some of that more classic Sentai interaction, and other than, I think, Yanma and Gira, we haven't gotten too many of the characters developing a bond or anything like that, and this was a really nice episode to connect those two not only working together, but at the end, Himino gives Rita the premium Bandai item, which was a nice moment, and I overall liked that story. It furthered the conspiracy overall, as well as gave us more insight into the mythology of Rita and their character overall. And we also did get the debut of, not the debut, well, I guess we did debut some more of Spider-Kimonos' like mech weapons and stuff. We did the further debut of that. It is funny how now that like, seemingly like Kimonos took so long to debut his mech that he's now having to show it off in other people's episodes. Like, he's still present in there, but I just find that kind of funny. And I have to say, like last week, the CGI on this actually looks pretty good. You know, I do prefer the practical suits for this. I think they look better, but for me, so far, the Kimono CGI has looked some of the best that we've seen out of the last 3 series that's used it. And I really do like the mech a lot and how it all works. In addition to that, we also had what was left over for last week with Rackley's doing a negotiation with the Bugnarok, which was my only, not really huge complaint, but complaint about this episode is it felt like they more or less had to tread water because they're going to handle it more next week. They effectively said, oh, we just kind of met and set the stage and there might be a tentative peace, but then the Bugnarok attacked and there was like, well, what about the peace? And then at the end of the episode, Rackley's calls Yanma and he's like, we're going to talk about the peace talk. So it almost felt like this episode should have just been, this episode now with Himino and Rita should have just been before all the peace talks and then done the peace talks as a 2-parter. As just pacing wise, it felt like we left off on that as the plot and then kind of put it on pause to do this other stuff and then are reactivating the plot. That was a weird way of putting it, but I don't know. It's not a huge deal. It just feels weird that we put a pause on that to tread water a little bit. It's not a huge deal breaker. It holds the episode score back a little bit, I guess, because I still did like the episode, but that just felt kind of weird and strange. And, other than that, we just had Gira and Yama fighting, whose name I just said 5 seconds ago. And I forgot that he thought Gira was dead. Like, so much has been happening, especially with Spider Kimonos' debut, that I forgot he was supposed to be dead. Because, like, he pushes him down so that he's hiding from the camera when Rackley shows up. So I completely forgot about that. So that's an interesting aspect of it. But it was an overall good episode. I really liked it. Like I said, it was much better for Rita's character than last week with Black Ranger's character, especially since they're one of my favorites. Like I said, good insight to their character, the backstory, furthered the mystery, and connected it to Himino, which was nice, and set us up nicely for the peace talk stuff. It's just, like I said, it was a little bit weird pacing-wise. So overall, 4 out of 5. Still a solid episode, just the slight pacing and pausing of last week's plot and sort of shoehorning this episode in between ruins the pace a bit. But what did you guys think of this episode and the furthering of the conspiracy? Or do you have any theories? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.